What's going on, moms and dads? You are listening to the latest episode of the Fade You podcast, recording late on Tuesday night, July 25th. Matt here with Kmart and Jared. We got Jared back for another show. That's just outstanding. And this will be our first show really officially talking NFL football and gearing up for the upcoming 2023 season. So we appreciate you
preview.
Maybe. So got a couple guys here. Chris is celebrating his wife's birthday, so celebrating and
happy birthday, Meryl.
Yeah, happy birthday, Meryl. And we love you. And then Joe's got a busy week here. So the plan from here on out is we got a show tonight right now. Training camps are opening today, tomorrow. It's a great time of year. We're going to take next week off. Some of the guys have a couple vacations that are still on the books. And then in 2 weeks, we'll really get to a show every single week leading up to week one. We'll get a college show in there somewhere. So stay tuned, subscribe, follow along. A lot of good football content coming your way as we get into August and really dive in to the upcoming season. So Jared's here. He's got his Bills jersey on. Jared, who are you rocking tonight?
Lineman, man. I was built with a body, so Dion Dawkins, Bills left tackle. Temple, as he always says, you already know, baby. You already know.
That's awesome. How many Bills jerseys do you have?
Oh, well, that's still fit or, through the years. I've got a couple. I've got a Dion Dawkins, but I've got all my kids geared out. So that's more important to me. So we've got nice. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. I've got some Fitzmagic jerseys from back in the day. So
wow, the Fitzmagic Bills jersey. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We were just talking before we started recording about guys that played for a ton of teams, right? We talked about Reggie Bush, and can you name all the NFL teams he played for? Dude,
I don't think we have enough time.
I don't think so. That's you're gonna have to sit and think for a while on that one. It's over a dozen, right?
I think it was right at I think it was 11 or 12. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. What a career. What
a beard.
Phenomenal beard. I was just gonna say that. Definitely. So at Kmart's rocking the Jimmy G jersey. Now, tell me if my memory is correct. I remember, I think, right after you got that jersey is when he tore up his knee in Kansas City. And we were watching
with Ross and
he had a Jimmy G. Yes.
What the fuck?
And he had one on too. And we were watching an Old Crow in Huntington Beach. And yeah, Jimmy went down. I think he was trying to run, right? He was trying to run for a first down.
He ran out of bounds, and he kind of tried to do his best impression of Reggie Bush and did a little, hesitation, and then got tackled out of bounds. And I think his leg got caught on the first down marker or something too, and just something fluky.
It's just crazy because Niners quarterbacks never get hurt when they're trying to run the ball. Never ever happens. I've never seen that before. Oh God! So that's my memory. When I see you in that jersey, that's my memory. But
when I see myself in it, I think about the blown Super Bowl, 2 blown NFC Championship games. Like for how much luck, if you will, and like nice memories I have in it, I still have. I guess 4 really bad memories with it. I think I did ask the wife. I was like, hey, I know you got this for my birthday years ago, but next beach bonfire, it's going.
Kyle, I swear to God, I was just going to say, I'm surprised you haven't burned that with the rest of your clothes by now.
Yeah,
that's
trust me, dude. Like if you guys saw this room right now, I have clothes ready for the beach bonfire. It's just a matter of time.
That thing's got to be soaked in tears. It's going to just put out that bonfire. It's going to just a wet blanket, that bonfire.
I will save it for the last when we're trying to put out the fire. Just start it up.
Yeah. Jesus. And that is another story for another show for sure. People are like, wait, you lost me at burning clothes. What's going on with that? So we'll save that for another time. But hey, it's July 25th, and we're really excited right now because we got a whole bunch of NFL news that is happening as recently as a couple of hours ago. Justin Herbert just became a very wealthy individual. So we'll touch on that. We did get good Jimmy G news, right? He passed his physical. Jimmy's gonna be a Raider and he's gonna get free something for life out there in Vegas.
Yeah, free something.
Purdy girl too, right?
Purdy got married. We got some great Purdy news today. So lots going on. We had the worst owner in sports, arguably, got the boot. Snyder's gone in Washington. We got this whole running back situation where these guys, it's kind of sad. These guys are all on Zoom the other night trying to figure out why they can't get paid. Boom, Trayvon Diggs gets extended today, $93 million. Oh, and Herbert gets like $260 or something like that. And these poor running backs.
It's like when my 9-year-old and 4-year-old try to decide what's for dinner. It doesn't matter. We're just moving on. Mom and dad are going to make that decision. That's going to the left tackle and the quarterback. Come on.
Oh man, it's so true. It's a great analogy, but the running back situation is dire. I think Barkley kind of worked it out, I guess, with the Giants today. Jacobs, I don't know. I mean, when are we going to see Josh Jacobs in Vegas? Or are we?
Yeah. I mean, you got to think, they've all learned their lesson. Look at even Le'Veon Bell speaking out last week. It's his biggest regret. And, somewhat for the fans, he was apologetic to, but that ended his career. And
I saw CJ2K did the same thing today.
Yeah. So I don't know, there's not much of a threat with a holdout when you have, in that era, one of the best running backs in the league who tried to do it. And they are replaceable, but that's the sad part of the business. And especially with that position in itself, they're just, look at all the young talent coming up. Year after year. What is it? Average lifespan? 4 years.
It's crazy. It's hard to imagine, your earning potential is probably gone at age 28, something like that. It's like the human side of me can feel sympathy for them and just be like, man, that's fucked. Some of these elite guys do a lot for those teams.
You didn't even get this much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. And
it's
now
all relative.
Endorsement deals. They be smart like Gronk.
Yeah.
Spend your endorsements, save your salary. Or
who would
whatever.
have ever thought you would have said that? Be smart like
Be
Gronk.
smart
right?
like Gronk.
Right?
I know. What a great line. It's true though. With the financial side of all this, it's so important. Speaking of extensions, Bosa, Niners camp. We're recording this on Tuesday night. Niners camp opens Wednesday. How soon do we think we see the Bosa extension, Kyle?
Man, you'd think by August 1st, but I feel like it's something they've been talking about even last year. It's kind of surprising it hasn't happened yet. And he said he's not going to show, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Don't the Niners historically kind of take it to the end there? Or do they like to get their guys in early, signed early?
I guess there's the whole fiasco with even Debo 2 years ago, but you have to look at him. What, last year I think is when they did it, and he came in so sloppy, and he's talking, I'll never put something that bad on tape again. But it's like, man, once they get that money, that's the problem with the running back position. They stop caring once they get that check. They're like, oh, I got all this guaranteed money. I don't have to work my ass off anymore. And then they just get high, eat potato chips, and play video games.
Well, did you hear? So Shanahan today, they asked him about Debo, and he said he's never gotten so many pictures from a grown man of himself shirtless. But it sounds like Debo. It sounds like he really took that to heart, though. That he doesn't feel like he played well last season, and so your theory that'll be put to the test.
He has to do something because they have McCaffrey, and Ayuk is easily the best wide receiver on that team. So he's expendable if he has another season like that, because at that point they can rely on Danny Gray and anybody else that they draft, and it's like, hey, they can get something for Debo in hopes that other teams will hope that he can recapture what he did 2 years ago. But like that was such a fluky season. Like it's never been done in history. It'll probably never be done again. It was just perfect storm. And I mean, he's a tremendous athlete, but
he's a ball player. But I mean, McCaffrey's going to take a lot of those opportunities away from him with a full season now for sure. But that's probably good though, right? Less chance of injury.
What he wanted. I mean, that was his gripe, or he was taking too much risk with all the carries behind the backfield. But then that's what you want as an athlete, as a competitor. So I don't know why you play the game when you're bitching about your opportunities. Like personally, like if you're a key playmaker, I mean, I don't think it matters. Give me that ball behind this line of scrimmage, shit the little shovel pass, get them 1 yard catch and turn it into yak. I mean, I'm cool with that. Because most of them, they just care about touches and catches. They don't actually care about anything else. They just want the ball in their hands.
Well, we got plenty of time to talk Niners for sure. Talk about the Purdy getting cleared and whether that has once and for all crushed Kmart's Sam Darnold dreams for the 49ers. We'll get to all of that. So what we want to do tonight is not jump into the deep end here. We're not going to try to cover too many teams, but we'll pick a few of the more intriguing ones really early in camp here where maybe we have no idea what to expect. And I think there's no better place to start than this year's Hard Knocks team with the Jets. We posted a poll today, wanted people's take on what's your actual expectation for Rodgers and the Jets. Are they overrated because people are going to overrate the acquisition of Rodgers, or were they a quarterback away of an otherwise pretty solid roster and great defense, and Rodgers can maybe put them over the top? We wanted to see what people thought. What do you guys think? Kmart, let me start with you because I think you said in our group chat you thought people would vote for contender, right?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the square side, and it's even where I kind of fall. Like you said, they got their pieces on defense back. They have one of the best corner. I mean, they already have the best corner in Sauce Gardner. Garrett Wilson looks like a freak. Now they have a guy who can actually get on the ball. So assuming Breece Hall comes back, they have a above average offensive line. Like if they stay healthy, I just don't see how they don't contend. Like Rodgers would literally have to be done, which I don't think he is.
I don't know, man. He takes a lot of drugs.
He wouldn't take the vax though. So
you're expecting, like, at worst they're solid, and best case, like, they actually can contend.
Yeah, I mean, what's their win total? 9.5. Like, if you go back to all our previews last year, I mean, it's going to be the same rhetoric. But if this team stays healthy, and that's the key word for anybody, I mean, that's the coin flip in any sport. But if that team's healthy, like, I don't see how they don't at least win 10. Like, I haven't looked at their schedule that fine-tuned, but just, like, the pieces, I mean, unless they're going to lose every coin flip game, which, I mean, with Rodgers, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, those guys alone, I can't see them losing that many.
I like the skill players. I mean, I think to me, their offensive line worries me. Their tackles,
when I said that.
Becton and Brown. I wrote on my notes for today, I said if they needed a fat, out of shape dude to play tackle, I would have done it for a whole lot less money. I mean, it's just I don't like it. I don't like it. I wrote down, I was like, man, who did they beat last year? Other than my Bills, the Josh Allen arm injury game, they beat Jacoby Brissett, Kenny Pickett, Skylar Thompson. They beat Aaron Rodgers. They beat Brett Rippon, Josh Allen injury game, and Trevor Siemian were the starting quarterbacks that they beat last year. So, I mean, maybe they get, they'll run into a few easy games, and the defense is good. I'm not saying it's not, but I watched the thing with, oh gosh, I'm not going to remember the name, but they said he had over the last 8 games at the end of the year, they forced 2 turnovers all the last 8 games. And for a great defense, you have to force more turnovers in that. I mean, you just can't be, just straight up.
Yeah, I really wanted Jared's Jets take as a Bills fan. So, like, what's your level as a Bills fan of feeling threatened by this team that a lot of people really want to pick right now? Right, it's starting to feel like there's a lot of love for the Jets to win the AFC East. There's a lot of love for the Dolphins to win the AFC East. As a Bills fan, you're playing the Jets week 1. Like, how are you feeling about this team trying to come up and take that division?
We talked a little bit last week. Kmart had mentioned the window kind of closing on the Bills a little bit. And I mean, I can see those two teams making a push towards getting better, towards approaching the Bills. I don't see how adding a 39-year-old quarterback that's been injury prone over his career to a slow, non-athletic, you go from having arguably top 2 left tackle in the game in Bakhtiari to going, to have Dwayne Brown playing left tackle for you. I mean, I don't know. I don't see it. Again, then we go to the Dolphins, and I mean, the Dolphins are a solid team. They got a scary offense, 2 of the fastest receivers in the league. I can see them approaching. I don't see them making up 3 wins apiece.
But like, I don't know. Like for me, I mean, as you're talking, Jared, I looked up PFF grades offensive lines, and they definitely agree with you. They have the Jets ranked 23rd. But I was thinking they have a decent line because I know they got Tomlinson. They drafted Elijah Vera Tucker last year, and then he got injured. But I mean, I have to agree with Jared. I mean, their guards or tackles are pretty weak.
What's Dwayne Brown? Is he turning 50 this year?
8. So like, I get it, but I don't know. Like for me, it's probably just high on the former Niner and obviously Trojan in there. But I don't know. I feel like even 23rd, that seems pretty. I mean, I think I'm probably too lofty on them, but I feel like, I don't know, 16. Like that seems pretty light, unless Dwayne Brown's just non-existent and they have 4 guys back there.
Well, okay, let's say, just for the sake of argument, that the line ends up being okay. We've seen several seasons in a row now where high-profile QBs go to new situations, right? Like with Brady, they won the Super Bowl, but they didn't really round into form until midway through the season, later in the season. You saw with Stafford and the Rams, like that kind of worked out. But then you saw Russell Wilson in Denver last year was a complete disaster. So I think it's probably fair to be a little skeptical that this is all going to be like really in motion together early in the season, right?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if Breece Hall's even going to be playing week 1. So they got Michael Carter and Matt, Zonovan Knight and some kid Israel something.
Well, hey, if running backs are replaceable, then who gives a fuck?
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out for sure. But like wide receiver,
that's when they were good though. When Mike White was chucking the ball around, they were getting Breece Hall out in the flats, having a bunch of catches and stuff. That's when they were good. They were exciting, but that hasn't been Rodgers' game though.
Yeah, that's just my point though. Is just with the playmakers, I feel like they can mitigate the imbalance on the offensive line. But I'm looking at their wide receivers other than Wilson. It's just this wide receiver by committee that's not very scary.
It's a bunch of
they got Allen Lazard.
That's kind of how Hackett's offense has always been, right?
Randall Cobb. Yeah, it's just like a bunch of. I mean, they're obviously very talented, but they're journeyman wide receivers.
Yeah.
Could it be an angle to maybe bet against the Jets early? If you don't believe it's going to all be like this, they may not be locked in together week 1, but then, I mean, it's a long ass season. So maybe by November or stuff, they start to click. Could you maybe look to bet against them early and then let the market overcorrect? I don't know, maybe that's the way to sort of view this team.
For sure. Like you were saying, they're not going to come in gelled perfectly, especially because, I mean, Rodgers is acting like he's, found this fountain of youth, and now all of a sudden he's excited about showing up to training camp and all of that horse shit. But we know that's not the truth. He's got a couple of new toys, and like you said, Garrett Wilson's he's an animal. He's a great receiver, big, strong, fast guy. I mean, he's probably the best receiver that Aaron Rodgers has had in a while. But in terms of pure talent, but is he going to have the time? Is he going to have to he doesn't. Aaron Rodgers isn't really a that good of an athlete to move outside of the tackle box, free up some time. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm glad we talked about them tonight on this really early show, because I'm really looking forward to seeing and hearing throughout camp, like, what is the level of, like, are we going to hear these like, I mean, reports every day? They're just blowing Rodgers like, oh man, he looks just awesome, and they finally have real quarterback play. Like, if we get a lot of that throughout camp, then you almost have to bet against them week one, right? Like, if they're getting their tires pumped every single day and they look great and it's all looking awesome, I mean, that's just,
especially
going right to the slaughterhouse week one against a team that is getting a lot of people back.
And the storyline with the Bills is that there's all this dismay, and Stephon Diggs is a diva, and there's just, I'm not denying it, but it just seems like the storyline is definitely, the narrative is definitely pushing. There's going to be a lot of competition in the AFC East, and I don't know, maybe it's my rose-colored glasses, but I don't see it yet. We're at least a year away.
Yeah, it's an interesting division, because you're right. There are some questions about the Bills. I think people are looking for a new team to pick. I mean, really the only team that's not getting any attention is New England, because, I mean, what the hell are they doing down there these days? But there's a lot of love for Miami, and there's a lot of love for the Jets. So
I didn't even realize this, and I'm sure, Jared, you did, but Jets and Bills week 1, Monday night.
There you go.
You have Sunday Night Football too, right?
Is that? It looks like Monday night on the 11th.
Oh, it's on Monday Night Football. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's irregardless, Sunday or Monday. I think it's a prime time spot for sure. So yeah, we'll keep a real close eye on the Jets throughout camp, preseason, and they're going to get some love for Hard Knocks too. So we shall see with them. Any other teams that you guys can think of that feel like this could go either way, or we really don't know? Anybody come to mind that you guys want to talk about in the real early part of our preview today?
The Bears are so interesting to me. I saw something last week that said that Vegas has got more money on futures for Justin Fields as MVP than anybody else. So they've been bad for a few years now, and just to see, I mean, I think their win projection, I think Warren Sharp had them at like 10-7 on his win projection that he posted today. So,
well, isn't their win total like 7.5 or 6.5, and they won 3 games last year? I know Chris.
They won the first one.
Remember
that one, Kmart.
Who can forget that first one? Dude, it wasn't raining. It was a monsoon.
Downpour. Yeah.
Joe was there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember seeing Joe trying to walk back from the stadium.
Yeah, we were watching that at your place.
Dripping. Yeah. Yeah, so for a team that won very few games last year, their win total is definitely baking in some positive regression. I think the place you want to start with the Bears is the division wide open now because Rodgers is out of there?
Well,
and everybody,
all those teams are interesting. Everyone loves the Lions, right?
Yeah.
The Vikings were the luckiest team in the history of football last year. And now, the Packers too with the new quarterback. How is that going to play out? So I don't know. To me, that's got to be the most interesting division right now.
And the Bills, they spent a lot of money in free agency too. They brought in some guys on defense. Obviously, they make the big trade with Carolina to bring in a legit wide receiver. And a lot of people are trying to compare situations like, okay, Justin Fields going into year 3. The Bills, when Josh Allen was going into year 3, trade for Diggs. And the Eagles, when Jalen Hurts is going into year 3, trade for A.J. Brown. So these guys that are expected to kind of take the next step, bring in a legit receiver, and that really helps them out. So Kmart, how much is that going to help? Like, it's one thing to just have better quarterback play, but is it going to actually translate to wins?
I mean, I'd like to say yes because I'm a huge Justin Fields fan and I want to see him do well. I love DJ Moore as well, so I'm kind of excited to see the pairing. He obviously took massive strides last year, but there's still a big question mark on him on his throwing capability in the NFL. Like, he can throw; he's a very smart kid. He can read the defense. It's just a matter of putting it all together. I'd love to see them go over that 7.5, but like you said, it's just kind of like is that, did they really do that much? Like, is DJ Moore, like, in a baseball term, like, wins against war, whatever?
Wins against replacement or above replacement.
Wins against replacement, yeah. And it's just like, is he worth that much? So, another thing, like, kind of early on, I mean, they might be a bet on and then kind of fizzle out.
Well, because that's what we're trying to identify, right? Is like, all right, what teams is the market underestimating or not seeing something? Like, is there going to be – God, they were frustrated bet on last – I mean, God, I remember I think I bet them against the Bills, and they just made so many goddamn mistakes, and it was so frustrating to watch them.
2 out of their first 3? I think they started 2-1 because there was this, like, famous – like, freezing cold takes on Twitter or something that, this guy called in and said, how could you think that the Bears were going to only have 3 wins? They started out 2-1. What do you think they're going to go 1-13 the rest of the year? And and then they did. They did go 1-13 or whatever.
They might have beat like Houston early in the season. Maybe it was like a Chris Duke poop bowl, or it was like Houston at Chicago, something like that. Yeah, that may have been the case.
Yeah, I mean, God, they 2.5 at home against the Packers in week 1.
Jesus. Wow.
There
yeah, we will have a week 1 show, obviously real close to when the season starts. And I have no doubt in my mind that that line will get some attention from certain members of Fade You for sure. Let me throw a team out there that I have absolutely no idea how this is going to go. How about fucking Denver?
Yep, definitely.
Okay. So obviously last year was complete disaster with all caps. So you bring in a legit coach that knows what the fuck he's doing and has won. But then, like, what's Russ? Like, is he washed? Is he talk about guys that mail it in after getting paid? Does he actually commit to the season and to getting better and getting back in shape? Like, I feel like that could either go really well and be the bounce back that some people are expecting, or they could just be completely held back by this guy that they're stuck with for the next few years.
If he does do well, does Hackett ever get another head coaching job? It feels like Jeff Fisher. After, remember when McVay came in and just made Jared Goff look like an animal, look like just everything was great. Just like, well, you knew at that point Fisher was going to never get another head coaching job. I just feel like if Sean Payton can come in and make Russell Wilson look like, let Russ cook again, right? If he starts cooking again in Denver, then I don't think Hackett's going to get another head coaching job.
I don't even know how he got that one. I mean, I if we went back and listened to our podcast from last year, like, I think I'd go to jail for how much I harassed that guy. Like, I'm not a fan of this. It all stems from his father, Paul Hackett, when he literally.
I was going to say this is personal for Kmart.
Yeah, and apple didn't fall far from the tree. It plugged and sunk. Like, but I don't know. Like, I mean, Sean Payton's obviously a great coach, and I agree with Jared there. But it's like, I mean, they almost have to improve. But I mean, Wilson did look. It's not that he even looked lost. He just looked washed. They should be getting Javonte Williams back too. So, I mean, maybe that helps a little bit because obviously he always had a great ground game in Seattle. They were always ground and pound, great played defense. So maybe that hit a lot of his.
Yeah. Their receiving core in Denver is good too.
Oh, yeah, very good. I mean, they get Sutton back.
Jerry Jeudy. So yeah, they've got a good team. And I saw a video Russ a few weeks back, he looks like he's lost some weight, like he's back in shape again. You know, doing his best Jameis Winston training.
Jesus. I mean, but in the AFC West, like, what can you really expect from them?
People are a little further down on the Chargers than I am. I think the Chargers. I think the Chiefs obviously are still a solid team, and I will not be the guy to bet against Andy Reid. Maybe they don't win 13 games this year. Maybe they win 12, but doesn't matter at this point.
So you're not going to be Chris Duke trying to get cute with an under win total on the Chiefs that they go over 90% of the time under Andy Reid.
Yeah, I'm not just going to leave that one alone.
Yeah. How about one more team? Any other team that you guys got that you feel like could be great, could be terrible? We have no idea what to expect.
I mean, Seattle could be fun too. Geno Smith.
I mean,
I just
teams.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I feel like, I mean, even myself, you know, I'm like Seattle, like Geno Smith had a fluky year, but then, you know, they sign him to 3 years. Clearly they believe in him. They just drafted Jackson Smith. Pete Carroll is a wizard at slot receivers. And they obviously still have that freaking Metcalf. And then they drafted Charbonnet. Like, I don't know, man. That offense actually could be pretty freaking good. Like, the more I kind of looked at it, I was like, shit. Like, that could be a sleeper. Like, if the Niners stumble out of the gates, if they're dumb enough to start Purdy week 1, that could get interesting.
Wait a second.
Did you already order your Darnold jersey?
Yeah.
No, I have to wait till he at least plays one freaking game.
No, he's thinking which one, the red one or the white one?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because he probably ordered both. It's interesting you mentioned Seattle because I feel like there's a couple teams like that where people are really expecting like them to come back down to earth or regress a little bit. Like Jared, you mentioned Minnesota, I think is kind of in that category too. But shit, man, when you're Seattle, when you kill it in a draft like they did last year, I feel like you're kind of in a good spot for a few years there. Like they drafted 2 good tackles last year. So the O-line is fortified. They got the young guys in the secondary. I mean, they killed it in the draft last year. So they're sort of like for probably a good 3 years now with those guys on cheap rookie contracts in
Did
really
they get
good
any
shape.
picks from Denver this past year too?
Yeah, they drafted the best corner in the draft this year with Denver's pick. Who's that kid from not from Washington, right? Who's the corner they took?
I don't remember.
It's not McDuffie. McDuffie was
No, he was Chiefs last year.
Chiefs, yeah.
Somebody pull that up real quick. Yeah, was he from Washington? It was they had like the 6th pick. God, we're gonna sound dumb on this show.
Devin Witherspoon from Illinois.
Illinois.
Oh
okay.
yeah.
So not from Washington, but yeah, Witherspoon. So they picked the corner. So add to that young secondary overall. Again. Bobby Wagner goes back there. Like, I mean, that's whatever he is left. But no, I think Seattle's going to be fine. I think anybody who's expecting them to like crash back down to earth is not seeing why they were good. Like Geno was part of it, but again, a lot of it was that they just got to stock that roster with a lot of really promising young talent.
Yeah.
And they're not going away.
About their corner, Matt, because I'm just sitting there thinking about their offensive weapons. And then even in the second round, they pick up Derek Hall, linebacker from Auburn. And then, I mean, even looking at the guys they kind of rounded it out with, it's like, you know, did good. They did good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as obviously I hate Seattle, but, you know, I look at that team like, shit, that's a sleeper in the West.
A little scary.
What about the number 1 pick in the draft? Who's going to have the worst record this year?
I have one that I guess would be. I don't think people are expecting it, kind of, because everybody's way down on Arizona and everybody's way down on Tampa Bay. But I'll let you guys go first, and then I'll say mine.
I'm going to say the Raiders.
Raiders were kind of low too. Houston's been low. I saw Arizona's been low. Carolina's been low. I don't know. I don't think I don't know. I don't have one that comes to mind. Let's go ahead, Matt.
Rams. I think Stafford's dead. I think his wife just said she has cancer again. I think his elbow's fucked. I think he doesn't last the season, and we saw what happens when they start getting injuries last year. I think that the Bills finally do. They traded all the picks, and they said, fuck them picks, and they won the Super Bowl, so hats off to them. But I think they're fucked now. I think the cupboard is totally bare. They have very little talent on defense outside of Aaron Donald. And if the offensive guys get hurt like they did last year, I think they'll have the worst record in the league. And I think McVay knows that Stafford's not obviously their long-term answer. I think he'd be totally fine getting a QB in this next draft. God, if only there was a local guy who was supposed to be a baller who's probably going to be a high QB pick. Maybe he plays in LA. I don't know.
No.
And
No.
I'm just putting that in the universe, Kmart.
Is McVay playing the long game, though, or is he in it for another 3 years, 4 years?
Didn't he like mold retirement after winning the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I think if he was going to bail, I think it would have been last year. After how bad that was, I feel like he's looking like, okay, this year, like we got to kind of just reset. Like we got to let Stafford get out of here because he's hurt and that contract is terrible. So I think he's looking at, okay, we're finally going to start getting picks again. We'll have a high pick next year. We'll get a QB. We'll sort of reset. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Rams go.
Man, you sold me on that real quick.
And that's not one people are talking about too. Like everybody's going to be picking Arizona and Tampa and Houston and Raiders and teams like that. But I mean, we saw what happened when it goes bad for the Rams last year. It could go real.
I thought the Raiders was kind of the what the F. I just was looking. I was like, man, let's go with the Raiders. I was like, fuck Jimmy G.
Yeah, you wear Jimmy's jersey. All right, we should wrap this one up. Jared, you're going to be busy being a dad over the next few weeks or so. What do you got cooking?
My 9-year-old plays travel softball, so we've got our World Series coming up. We head out of town tomorrow for that, so should be good, man. We just won the tournament last weekend. Last weekend was also my 39th birthday, so last birthday in the 30s. So, but yeah,
man,
enjoy it. Staying busy with that, man.
For sure. Well, good luck to the girls. We'll see if we can get Jared back on one more time before the season starts, maybe later in August. Hopefully we can get you back, Dad. Love having you.
Thanks, man. Love it.
Yes.
And then Kmart, yeah, we'll be on vacation next week. We'll come back in 2 weeks. We'll maybe revisit some of this tonight. We'll see what the early reports are out of some of these camps. Touch on a few other teams. We'll get some more win total talks, maybe playoff odds. Yes, no to make the playoffs and best record. We've got all kinds of stuff coming up for you guys.
I'll sit up on that granite rock next week and just try to figure out who I should pick.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, guys. We'll catch you later. Stay tuned. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up throughout August. Who wants to do the poop saying? Sometimes you got poop.
Sometimes you step in Aaron Rodgers' dirty diaper.